BYU and Arizona State, a showdown in the desert. Mitch Harper, Matt Baiamonte. We will be in Tempe. Right now we're here in Provo. We just got done with BYU football media availability, and the Cougs looking to bounce back after a tough loss last week, Matt. They're 9-1, number 14 in the playoff rankings. The playoff rankings, they don't believe in BYU, but coming out of this week, I have a little bit of belief in BYU. I think BYU can bounce back this week. I think there's a good sense of this team's ready to put their best foot forward this week.
Nothing has changed this week. It's business as usual. It's the same practice schedule. It's the same routines. And when you go back and look at that Kansas film, I think you can make a case that this is the right approach. Even though they lost that game, they were several plays away from winning it by double digits, Mitch. It's just a little tweak here, a little tweak there, a little better execution in certain scenarios, specifically red zone and third down. If you hit on 3 or 4 more plays, you score 27 points, and maybe the doink punt doesn't happen. That's 7 points off the board. So, I think around here, the sense is we're fine. Let's regroup. Let's just keep doing what we're doing, and we'll break through.
Aaron Roderick spoke to the media tonight. He addressed the fade route, acknowledged that there has been, since 2020, 12 touchdown passes with that, but did acknowledge the last 2 have been interceptions, and maybe, I believe I'm paraphrasing, but maybe they have to move on from that one for now. It hasn't worked as of late, the last 2 games. But, BYU, I think what was positive with BYU's offense last week is their ground attack was working. And I got to think, Matt, that, LJ Martin, Hinckley, Ropati, who we heard from tonight, they got to be a big focal point in this game.
No doubt. There's some crazy stats out there right now when LJ hits certain marks, how they never lose football games. And for him not to get a red zone touch is a little puzzling. And I'd like to think that's going to change against Arizona State. They did try to run the ball on that final drive in the red zone, and that didn't work. So it's not like they didn't run it at all, but there were times where I think it was clear. And I really liked A-Rod saying, I felt like he took a little bit of ownership on some of the red zone struggles today, where he's got to be better too. And maybe that's via play call, maybe that's substitution package. I don't know, but it's a collective, has to be better in the red zone if they want to win.
BYU's defense has got to continue to do what they've been doing. Last week they had a strong effort shutting down Kansas's offense, only 252 yards. Still areas, though, to tighten things up. What we do know about BYU's defense, they generate takeaways. Every week they have an interception, 17 interceptions this year. Getting to Sam Leavitt, creating pressure on him will be a top priority.
Sam Leavitt's playing great football. He's probably the number one reason that team is in position to go to a Big 12 championship. All eyes are on Scadaboo, and he's been great, but he's had games where he's held under 100 yards. Yep. But Leavitt is coming through for them. They've got to find a way to make his life difficult. If they can force some turnovers, get a couple sacks in there, that would go a long way. But Leavitt is the guy they have to solve.
Scadaboo, though, what's interesting about him, and there's been so many good Big 12 running backs BYU's faced, R.J. Harvey, DJ Giddens, Mekhi Bernard. What's interesting about him is that he is such a dynamic threat in the receiving game. He's had at least 4 catches the last 4 games. They got to account for him. I think what's interesting, going back to BYU's offense, Jake Retzloff, he's going to be a big focal point too. We asked Aaron Roderick about Jake's health, because at the end of the first half against Kansas, it looked like his left side got a little bit banged up. Even the TV announcers were kind of saying that looks a little bit strange. He kind of looked like he was shaking it off. Oklahoma State game too last month. But Roderick noted that Jake got banged up in that Utah game, but no concerns for this week 100%, as A-Rod said. But, Jake's, like most players this time of the year, taking some hits.
Keeping him clean is maybe the most important thing offensively. When he has the time to throw, Mitch, statistically, he's one of the top 20 quarterbacks in college football. When he is pressured, when he is blitzed, and the pickup is not there, he's one of the worst. And when you see a lot of the missed throws and the turnovers, a lot of those times, things are being sped up. So keeping him upright, healthy, giving him plenty of time. This offensive line can do that against a very shaky ASU pass rush. If they can do that, they got a good chance to win.
It's been kind of interesting, Matt. I didn't expect this, but Gary Bohannon's been a little bit of a storyline this week, the backup quarterback for BYU, not because he's going to play against ASU, but players, handful. Connor Pace said this with the KSL Sports Zone on JJ and Alex, and then tonight Hinckley Ropati mentioned this, that Gary Bohannon spoke to the team on Monday and basically said, like, this is what it takes, and kind of paraphrasing here, but this is what it takes to get to a championship. He knows how to win a Big 12 championship. The rest of this team does not. Kind of interesting that, Gary Bohannon maybe lit a spark coming back from a loss and to tell this team, hey, not all is lost. There's still so much on the line.
I think it's great leadership from Gary, and it's probably something this team needed. If this loss is nearly as hard for the players, which I think you can safely assume it is, they're the ones playing between the lines, as it's been for the fans. This was a tremendously difficult loss. They won this game statistically. They were the better football team in nearly every facet of that football game. And to have a loss there, that's hard to get over. But when you have someone like Gary who's not playing but has been there before and provides that kind of leadership, maybe that's the point that you would look to on a magical season run where we were trending the wrong direction and we righted the ship in partly due to the leadership of someone like Gary.
It's going to be a fascinating matchup. Two teams that are very similar, near last place preseason for Arizona State. BYU was 13th. Both play a lot of complimentary football. Kickoff 1:30 in the Valley, Mountain America Stadium. It's so weird to say that. It should be Sun Devil Stadium still. Come on now. But excited to see Tempe again. First time since 1997. BYU is going to be playing in Tempe. We will have extended pregame coverage beginning at 11 a.m. from Tempe. So listen to us on KSL News Radio, and we'll have full coverage on KSLSports.com.